very much for staying with us right here on TV 47. Now, on this last bit of the show, I want to be joined by an economist to get his voice on certain issues, especially with regards to the directive that was given for the restaurants to resume operation, but under stringent measures from the Ministry of Health. Joining me right now is an economist by the name Johnson Nderi. Johnson?
Hi.
Hi, how are you doing?
Fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm doing okay. So let's just get straight into this. You know very well that the government gave out the directive that the restaurants should resume normal operations. Now, my first question is, how important was this for the local economy? Was it the right time for this to happen? Because someone may argue that the graph is still rising in terms of the COVID cases, and it's a risky move to do.
Yes, it's obviously an eyebrow-raising announcement, but I almost can understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
In the sense that you have a scenario where people need to actually work. And if you listen the numbers on the other side, people who've lost their work, people who've lost their way of life, it's actually very scary. And we are seeing riots in places like Russia. We are seeing riots in places like Lebanon, and I think this is a sort of trying to play the middle road, the trade-offs. Because on one side, yes, there is the fear of the disease, which is very real, but on the other side as well, you've got another concern, which is poverty. Again, it's still a real issue. So it's really one of seeing where how you can manage the trade-offs.
All right. Now, Johnson, could you do me a favor? Could you reduce the volume of your television set? It's playing in the background.
Sorry, give me a second.
All right.
I'll be right back.
All right, viewers, we apologize for that small disruption, but we just wanted to sort out the sound in the background. Let's continue with Johnson. Johnson.
Yes.
Now, on to the next question. Now, agriculture is definitely a big part of the supply chain when it comes to the hotelier industry. And right before we started dealing with the pandemic of COVID-19, we had the issue of the invasion of the locusts. Now, my question is that, did the relevant authorities and the government assess the risk and the ripple effect of the invasion of locusts, or we just forgot about it and started dealing with the COVID-19?
I can imagine that they weren't given too much of a chance by the pandemic to make their calculations and see how best to go forward. But naturally, the locust damage was extensive. We're not pretty sure how extensive it is, but I know it must have been really bad because a good chunk of our economy is like you say, agricultural based.
Yes.
I think more than 30%, and a good chunk of it is subsistence farming.
Yeah.
And these are the people who are probably hit the most. So it's a good thing maybe that we've been seeing quite a bit of rainfall. I don't know how much that mitigates the entire issue, the entire problem.
Yes.
But obviously there has to be some damage done. So that only makes it more difficult for the government to consider the options because again the government may not have the money to feed the entire country, so some people have to work for their living.
All right. Now, just a couple of days, the CEO of the Kenya Association of Hotel Keepers and Caterers say that they are doing their very level best so that people don't lose their jobs, but in the event that the pandemic escalates and it gets worse, that they are risking losing close to 300,000 jobs. Now, when you talk of loss of jobs, we talk of the ripple effect of being consumer spending is low. There's also a fall in prices of commodities and everything in that sort. And when you talk of those two things, there's one thing that comes into mind. It's a recession. Do you see us heading there?
When I look at the nature of the lockdown we are going through, it's probably not as tight as we've seen other countries. The way they pursue the lockdown.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how tight it is, but certainly I can tell you the hospitality industry has been hit really hard. You can imagine, say for example, Nairobi, which gets quite a bit of business travel, even out from within the country. Even ignore the fly-in tourists.
Yes.
From within the country. Then you've got also fly-in tourists who are also not able to, come in and do business.
Yeah.
And then you've got leisure travel as well.
Yeah.
All that, all the beds we have on the table. I mean, around. I hear from the numbers I've had. I think we're talking about 80% of the inventory is not fully taken up. So you can imagine. And that business, there's a real estate to maintain.
Yes.
Probably there's been borrowings from banks. The supply chains, everybody who supplies these establishments, food and other support services, all that is, and the interesting aspect of course, foreign exchange. So all that has been taken offline.
Yes.
So my two primary concerns is how will those workers feed themselves? So a recession, hard to say, but it's we probably are looking at that.
All right. Now, when you talk of this directive that was issued out the other day for the restaurants to reopen, there needs to be a lot of reassurance to the public for them to actually go back to access these premises without having to worry about anything. Now, in the event that this fails, let's just say this directive fails, is there a plan B for the government?
I don't know. From the directives I've heard is that people will be allowed to access these facilities, but also there will be social distancing. So you've got this facilities will be operating below optimal capacity.
Yes.
So I'm just wondering whether it's actually worth it. I know obviously it's a graduated scale.
Yeah. For
some people it probably will be worth it. For some people it probably won't make sense to hire staff, purchase inventory, cook, use energy, and only to generate revenues at a fraction of those costs. So, but I know it will ease the pain for some people. Yeah. But I'm not sure how even just from an economic perspective, whether the entire arrangement makes sense. All right. But we pray that some people will find some relief through that.
All right. Now, last question before I let you go. From where you're sitting from an economical perspective, say the government didn't take this route of reopening the restaurants, what is the next best solution in terms of resuming normalcy of operations in the country, according to you, that is?
So allow me to borrow from the Bleach. I don't know if you caught the Bleach report when the American president was representing his some findings. One of the things we know is that sunlight. The virus has a 1.5 minute half-life when it's exposed to solar and to high temperatures and high humidity areas. So I think we can take advantage of some of that. So businesses that operate in the open air and in sunlight, I think should be allowed to resume. I think, and it probably talk about open air markets and hawkers. I think with them, if they're even with the masks on, I think that's activity that would actually be beneficial. I don't think that we are probably. I mean, if this information is correct, then I think the risk there is probably very low. So those are areas we could look at.
All right, Johnson. Thank you very much for your time and your insight.
A pleasure.
All right, truly appreciate it. That was Johnson giving us his insights on how we can deal with this whole operation of resuming normalcy in the event that this pandemic, serious pandemic that we're dealing with, starts escalating and probably we start experiencing fewer cases in terms of those who are testing positive. That's the route that we should be able to take. Unfortunately, every good thing has to come to an end, and at this point, that's the end of our show for today, midweek. I've been your host for this 1 hour ride. Until next time, be good, stay safe, and spread nothing but love.